Hello, and welcome to the show. My name is Katie Sill, and I'm your host. I'm also an academic advisor at the University of Alaska Southeast Sitka campus. One of the programs I work with as an advisor is the Dual Enrollment program. Today, I asked a friend and fellow advisor, Amy Richards, to help me discuss dual enrollment and all the ways it can help younger students test the waters when it comes to the college experience. Amy, can you introduce yourself a little bit to the folks who are listening and let them know what it is you do for the university?
Yes, I'm an academic advisor here at UAS on Juneau campus, and my job mostly involves helping students get registered here at the college in classes, choosing their major, and helping them navigate any challenges through their educational career.
And what degree programs do you usually work with?
I primarily focus on working with undecided students, dual enrollment students, which we'll talk about today, and students pursuing associate degrees in arts and sciences. And we have other advisors who specialize in majors across the board.
Let's just get right to it then. What is dual enrollment and how does it work?
Yeah, dual enrollment is a term used for when a high school student or even middle school student enrolls in a college class through the university.
And depending on the course format, it could look a little different. What types of formats do dual enrollment courses take sometimes?
Yeah, that's right, Katie. And so at UAS, we have a lot of choice. Students often choose online classes if they need a little bit of flexibility in their schedule, or they can't be in one of our towns that has a campus. They might be on campus in a regular college environment, or a dual enrollment class might be scheduled at their school or elsewhere in the community. So it really depends on the course and the needs of the student.
So it sounds like there are a lot of different opportunities for high school, or you said even middle school students, if they're ready, to be able to participate in college level education early on. You were saying that a student could physically come to a UAS campus and take classes in person. So like if they were living in Juneau or Ketchikan or Sitka and there was an on-campus course available that they were interested in, they could come and participate alongside the other college level learners. And then you also mentioned that we have a variety of online courses that students can take, and those students can take those classes from anywhere. The one that I think is the most interesting is the partnership with high school instructors who are teaching the college curriculum with the mentorship of a university professor to allow those students to have access to a college education.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And again, that's something that a student will determine what's best for themselves, what is the best fit, and they can talk to me, an academic advisor, to determine, which one suits them best in terms of their interests, their schedule, and the type of class they're taking.
Now, how is this any different from an AP class? Because I know AP classes are really big in high school. I was an AP student myself, but how does it compare to dual enrollment?
Yeah, there's some similarities and some differences. So for people who aren't familiar, AP stands for Advanced Placement. Advanced Placement courses are also considered college level, but they are always taught in the high school by teachers in that school, rather than a college professor coming in. The students can, once they take the class, they can request that their AP course be transferred into the college for credit. But at UAS, we want you to take the test for advanced placement, which happens usually in the summertime, right after course is finished. And we would be looking for a score of 3 or higher on those AP exams, and then we can bring in that transfer credit.
Yeah, and that exam is really the key piece that separates an AP class from a dual enrollment class, because a student can study in their AP class the entire academic year, and depending on what score they get out of 5, so that's the max, they may or may not be able to get the college credit they're seeking, because some universities accept 3s or higher and some universities only accept 4s or higher. That's something to consider when evaluating whether AP is right or dual enrollment is right, because with AP, there's always a chance that it might not transfer in, but with dual enrollment, so long as you're passing the class, you're getting that college credit. Am I right?
That's correct. And for students who already are in AP classes, that's great. It's also a good choice, but I do recommend that you take those exams at the end of the course.
Let's talk a little bit more about what dual enrollment looks like for Southeast students, particularly Southeast students who are studying at UAS campuses. What are some of the benefits that would motivate a student to consider dual enrollment?
Yeah, there are many benefits. Some of the main ones are that you can earn college credit while you're still in high school. So when you do enroll as a freshman in college, you already have an advantage. You're already ahead of the game. I work with a lot of undecided students, and if they're a dual enrollment student, it gives them a chance to explore different majors before they become freshmen. And so often that exploration helps them to decide on a major so that they can enter with a chosen major in their freshman year rather than still be undecided.
And there's also vocational programs at UAS that might equip students with skills they would need to enter the workforce as a more competitive candidate. Like our CNA program, dual enrollment students can study to be a certified nurse aide, take the exam to get their certification, and be able to go to work right away after they graduate from high school. We also have welding and construction programs that give students hands-on experiences to be able to go into that area of the workforce as well, or to give them a leg up if they wanted to pursue vocational training beyond the high school dual enrollment setting.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a great way to explore those careers. And some of the programs that you mentioned, the OE, the Occupational Endorsement in Welding, or the Certified Nurse Aide program, they're really short-term programs. And so often you can complete these in one college semester. And if it's a career you had been thinking of, it really helps to solidify your decision if that's the direction you want to head into. Often we'll see students who are strong academically get to their senior year and not have a lot to do, a lot of classes to finish up in that senior year. So for students who are looking to be challenged and to fill their schedule a little bit, college classes through the dual enrollment route are a great option for those students. And parents always love this one. For dual enrollment students, there's also a lot of opportunities for discounted costs. We have an Alaska Advantage program, which is wonderful in that it offers a 40% tuition discount for dual enrollment students, and that covers many of our first-year courses. There are a variety of scholarships and grants through different organizations, often community-based organizations, and then there can be funds through the school, particularly for homeschool students. We find that they have a lot of financial support for taking these classes.
Now, some people might have heard that dual enrollment students don't qualify for financial aid, and that's not entirely true based on what you're telling me here. Can you help clarify that point?
Sure. So when we hear a statement like that, what the person is referring to is that dual enrollment students wouldn't apply for the FAFSA. And that's the traditional route we think of when we're talking about financial aid. And so that's the free application for federal student aid through the government. And that's when we're talking about student loans, grants such as the Pell Grant, et cetera. But in Southeast Alaska, there are a lot of other funding agencies. There's tribal organizations, the high school-based scholarships for dual enrollment, and others. And that's something that our financial aid office or your academic advisor can guide a student on.
Right, and that's a big burden off of the shoulders of the families and the students, especially if they're looking at the price tag for a college class and thinking, well, if I can't get financial aid. Well, that's not entirely true because the Alaska Advantage program, scholarships, grants, funds through their school district or their homeschool program can make what seems to be a daunting cost a lot more affordable. And these benefits are only available to students while they're in high school. Once they graduate, they become a traditional college student and they would apply for financial aid through the FAFSA or through private scholarships like any other student. So let's say I'm a student or I'm a parent or I'm a teacher, counselor, and I'm working with a student or I'm reflecting on myself and I'm thinking, how do I know if I'm ready or how do I know if my student is ready for dual enrollment?
That's a great question. Again, that's something an academic advisor can work with a family or work with a school counselor to help them determine. But some things that are essential, I would say, is that the student needs to be doing well academically. They should be getting good grades in high school or middle school and be a confident learner. And that can vary on the subject. So, keep an open mind in that way. A student might be strong in kind of traditional academic classes or more the vocational hands-on route. So both are totally relevant and part of the discussion. And sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, students will have that extra time. And so time is something that's really important as a college student. One of the differences between high school and college classes is that there's usually more work required independently as a college student, which requires more time in your weekly schedule. Students should also be fairly organized. There's more independence at this level, so they should be aware of what their strengths or their drawbacks are in terms of keeping themselves organized and being able to stay on top of homework. And we want someone that's strong in that area. And then most importantly, they should really enjoy learning. They should be excited about learning, excited about the courses that we offer that they want to take, and feel ready for a little bit of extra challenge academically.
Because it's a college level course, is there a maturity expectation for students?
There certainly is. And so whether the course is taught online or on campus, professors will expect students to come in with the maturity level and participation level of a traditional age college student, so 18 years old or higher generally. And so we are looking for students to participate fully, whether that's online through discussion boards or other means of online communication, or in person through discussions in class, and to be on time and to come to every class. And just to be ready to communicate on their own behalf as well, not necessarily rely on parents, which is sometimes what students are accustomed to. At the college level, professors are really looking to you, the college student, to communicate on your own.
So it sounds like dual enrollment, for people who are considering it or maybe penciling it in as a possibility, they should really be approaching it strategically. So they should be doing a lot of this self-evaluation, probing questions about their own maturity level, general academic preparedness, their time management and organization skills. It's not something that someone who is like, I'm bored with high school, I want to do something else, or I have a hole in my schedule. Yeah, I guess I'll take a college class. It's something that they need to be prepared to put in the time and do the work for.
That's right, Katie. And, in addition to making that commitment to do the work, I see students that just get really excited about the courses they can take at this level. And so if you're not feeling certain as a student, again, talk to the academic advisor at UAS. And we can review your strengths. Maybe you are more of a hands-on person and artistic. Great. We have a lot of art classes you can take. Maybe you love the natural sciences and are really curious about biology. So sometimes the subject area itself can be part of that piece in motivation, and that's what will help you determine.
Yeah, and speaking about the subjects, there are subjects that exist in the university that they just don't have space for at the high school. And so the course offerings are much wider and more diverse and sometimes even specialized. So if a student, say, took Introduction to Psychology at their high school and was really into psychology, they could consider taking courses like lifespan development, or like you said, a student who maybe is really interested in biology might consider taking a fisheries course.
That's right. Yeah, it really opens up a whole new world of subject areas to study. And, I find in Southeast that people are often really surprised by what we offer right here in Southeast. So I really encourage students and parents and school staff to go onto our website, have a look at our programs, and have a look at our courses. There's something for everyone there.
And while they're on the website, they can actually go to the dual enrollment page to get more information about the structure of the program, but also how to sign up for classes and register. Our website is uas.alaska.edu, and we have a handy little search feature up in the top where you can type in a search term like dual enrollment or programs. Lots to explore. But if a student comes to you, Amy, and they're saying, how do I sign up? How do I register? What's their first step?
To get started, I think that a good look through our website and our academic programs and our current schedule is a great way to start. Also, talk to your high school counselor, whether that's through your homeschool program or your on-site high school, and see if, there are requirements that you might be able to complete for your high school graduation requirements. We do see students do that as well, that they're completing their high school requirements through us. And so that's a great conversation to have with your counselor. And even your teachers, they might have some ideas for you of courses they enjoyed or strengths that they see in you that they might have some recommendations for you.
So you're saying that students can kill two birds with one stone by taking one dual enrollment class, so they could get their math requirement with a college level class and still be making progress towards their high school diploma, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And so talking with the counselor, making sure that it fits into their schedule, making sure that the support systems they have in place are supportive of their choice to pursue dual enrollment. And then also meeting with an academic advisor at one of the UAS campuses, either in person or over Zoom or email or phone call. We're happy to talk with students, and parents are welcome to join that conversation too, to kind of explore the opportunities that are available. What do some of those early appointments look like for you, Amy?
I really appreciate it when parents are involved in that first advising appointment with students. It's important that the student and the parent be aware of the schedule and how much time the course that they're interested in is going to impact their weekly schedule. So we talk about that. We talk about preparedness, the level of difficulty, the content, to make sure that parents are comfortable with what the students are studying at the college level. We will want to talk to them about IEP or 504 plans. So if they have an independent education plan at school for disability, we will make a referral to our Disability Services Office. Students might need to take placement tests that are prerequisites to take a certain class. So we'll talk about that and set them up with that information. We go over funding, and we also talk about the role for parents and how they can be supportive in the background for their student, but really to let the student take a role as college student and allow them to communicate with their advisors and professors.
That might be a little hard for some parents. How do you kind of coach the parents into taking that step back and letting their student take the lead?
Yeah, we talk about it as one of the signs that the student is ready to take a dual enrollment class. And, there's privacy legislation through FERPA protecting who a staff or faculty member can communicate with about a student. And so generally that is just the student unless they provide permission to talk to someone else. So really we should be communicating directly with the student. This is also an opportunity to develop as a student to increase maturity and level of responsibility for the student. And so the advisor can help guide them through that and help them in their communications with their professor. But it really should all be coming from the student with parents or advisors just as guides in the background.
Right. And so if a parent is a little nervous about their student taking dual enrollment classes, they can feel more comfortable knowing that the student has support services in place for them at the university, whether it's an academic advisor who can help guide and advocate for the student if there's any issues that come up, or disability services if a student needs accommodations. So a lot of the things that the parents may be used to taking on and helping with, that burden is lifted off of them, and they can really kind of step back and watch their student mature and grow and feel a little more comfortable or confident in sending their kid off to college officially when the time comes.
Yeah, exactly. And I really encourage parents to still be there in the background asking questions about the course, about their upcoming assignments, especially in the first few weeks of the class, till the student has a handle on that independence. There's certainly nothing wrong with them being involved and knowing how the student's enjoying the class and how they're progressing. But if there's an intervention needed, we really want to see that request for assistance coming from the student directly.
So if we were going to talk about the successful dual enrollment student, or if we were to give tips and tricks to how a dual enrollment student could be successful, what advice would you give?
Great question. I would definitely start with our registration process and the timeline. This often comes as a surprise to students and parents. For a student taking a fall class, which begins at the end of August, registration in the courses opens up mid-April. So by April 18th, I will start working with students to get them registered for fall classes. It's really important that we work early with the student. There's books to be ordered. We want to make sure we have all the forms that are needed for them for first-time registration, and it can take some time. So registering the week that classes start sometimes can result in a student getting off to a bit of a rocky start in that they don't have the class materials or the textbooks available. So the earlier they can register, the better. And we are open all of the summer. So if you don't get to it until June or July, that's okay. But as much as possible, we want them to register several weeks or months even in advance of the classes.
You mentioned the timeline for some of these things. In my experience, a lot of times the university calendar and the high school calendar don't always line up. So it's important for students and parents to pay attention to the start date for classes, because sometimes the university classes will start earlier than the high school classes or later, or when they don't line up, it can really mess up with the student's planning if they're thinking they can just join a dual enrollment class on the first day of school because that's when the rest of their classes are starting. Dual enrollment really does take a lot of preparation and planning way before the first day of class.
And that's what will help to set the student up for success. They can be really prepared for that course start date. And once they are students, we want them to be checking in with their professor, whether by email for an online course or in person. The student should be aware of how they're doing in the class, what their grades are, what their weaknesses might be or challenge areas. And that's something the professor can help them with. I mentioned previously a couple times already that carving out enough time for a course is really important. When we do see dual enrollment students struggle, often they're just not putting enough time into the course. So for every traditional 3-credit class, which is a typical class at UAS, you want to be looking at setting aside at least 12 hours per week of class and study time. It varies depending on the course and your academic level, and that's something you can determine with your advisor. And then really, just enjoy it. Keep an open mind to new ideas. Enjoy the learning. Enjoy these students around you. You'll be working with a professor who's dedicated their life to being an expert in the subject area you're studying. So take advantage of that. Ask the questions and make the most of the learning.
Really, what we're doing for dual enrollment is trying to set up these students for success so that when they do go to college and they are independent, traditional college students, they know what to expect and they know how to handle themselves. That's all the time we have. If you would like to know more about dual enrollment, remember to visit our website, uas.alaska.edu, and search dual enrollment. If you would like to see our current course offerings and schedule, you can visit uas.alaska.edu/schedule. Join us next time as I talk about a special program we have here in Sitka for our local students. It's called Sitka Start, and believe me, you're going to want to hear more about it. See you next time.